part I want to think about is that 4-0, the beating that Rule 1 has delivered to Vision during the last regional. And we are already in the game, best of 7. And wow, the first goal comes in as if nothing was in the way of Killers. He doesn't even mind. He slaloms past his opposition. Basil cannot reach it. Someone cannot reach it. Nobody can reach it. If this is going to stay, this is a horrible start for Vision.
We've got the wonderful Danny Boy on production today, and I'm afraid that was diabolical from a Vision standpoint, defending.
Yes.
Just not, I mean, listen, getting past Basil, that's one thing, that's fine. But then to not follow up with, there wasn't even a second touch jam. Slightly egregious, I mean, there is no such thing as slightly egregious, is there? It was egregious, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't great, not that Rule 1 care. They're 1-0 up within 30 seconds. And now Vision looking to try and right some wrongs here. It's a somewhat meandering drive forward, but it's not for too long. A double commit. There's a bump in the back there. Killers onto Senzo. Mosen throws it into the far corner, gives up possession. Senzo straight into Mosen. That's on target, would you believe? Mosen across the net. Oh, Vision, the enemies of themselves at the moment.
Oh no, there we go. Rule 1 utilizes this confusion in the defense. Someone tries to make a powerful clear and even tries to follow it up. But Basil, just no time to come back. Mazen straight in front of the net. Rule 1, running circles around Vision one more time. And if you wanted a strong start to the series, Rule 1 are once again sort of trying to prove to us we are going to be the one taking this day. And we want to take one over Falcons in the grand finals as well, because they sure can do that. Last time, 4-0 in the playoffs, and then Team Falcons sweep them 0-4.
Taking a courtesy look at the stat lines provided to us by our friends over at Octane.gg. It's not pretty reading either. The stats are slightly skewed, of course, because in their group stage run, and indeed in the first of the playoff matches for the Falcons, they saw 3 forfeits out of 5 matches, and so it's difficult to gauge where exactly they are, but we know exactly where Killers is currently going into today. The highest rated player, that's all stats included, score, goals, assists, whatever you like. The man is on a mission, looking really strong, and there he is, stealing Roas's goal. It's brutal, champ.
I know, it just goal secured. Goal secured is how we're going to go about that setup by Mazen. Oh, actually, yeah, no, my bad. Ruaz, there he is. Just all 3 of Rule 1 players, they keep the ball away from Vision so well, and by the time Vision start thinking what is our defensive rotation is gonna be, it's already too late. There's already nothing. How about someone tries to go for a pinch, but there's a wall of 3 players of Rule 1 in front of him. No boost for Senzo. Shot on target though, but that's crossbar. The dreaded crossbar denies Vision to decide. Lovely little pass, but that's already a rotation back from Vision, and the ball is surrounded by Rule 1. Vision are there. Vision are fighting, but the scoreline, I'm afraid, is going to run away from them even worse.
If they are fighting, Jam, they're fighting with their eyes closed. They're asleep and they're in a nightmare, and they've got to wake up fast. Demo's in the midfield, and he's going to break up the play for now, but the damage you can see on that scoreboard, folks, already done. 3-0 as we hit half-time, and every time that we see Vision picking up possession, they throw it away cheaply. Basil moving forward through the corner. Again, aimless, just looking to buy time for his teammates. It looks like they're low on boost. It looks like they're low on confidence. It looks like they're low on quality. It looks like they're low on goal opportunities as well. Not that Rule 1 care. They continue to fashion them. A shot parted away. Senzo moving forward into the midfield. There's Mosen, a strong challenge as well. Stuck in their own half and missing key interceptions.
Starting from their own side, someone, back to Basil, decides to go low. I'm not sure how much of that was planned and how much of that was just a moment of panic, and everything else killer. Lovely little shot, and Rule 1 even going back to their own net. Rotation to the midfield and this is how far Rule 1 are pushed up. They are not shy about taking Vision players out, really leaving them with no chances, and this so dangerously going towards the net. Rule 1 are just giving Vision nothing on the field to play with. I'm surprised Vision even got out of their own half, because no boost, pretty much no chances, as Rule 1 have been surrounding that net all throughout.
You can probably sum up the amount of possession in the orange half of Vision as mere seconds rather than a solid minute. Shot opportunity not going to arrive. Killers too fast once again over the top of SMW. Looking for that redirect as well. That's a lovely shot opportunity. Well defended, it must be said, by Vision. Now down the other end. Great defense here from Roas as Mosen watches on. Double demo power play. Basil has to get there. Lovely awareness on what was a very dangerous situation for his team. Roas holding up in the midfield. Look at all three of those Vision players. You can throw a blanket over them. No wonder they're not getting shot opportunities.
Yeah, that little block just pretty much neutralized 2 or so players of Vision, and only in the final one with a clear manages to move anything out. Someone, how about this shot? And it just goes back into the center, and already Rule 1 are pre-jumping this and are ready to continue. I think the biggest problem, well, I mean, there's a ton of problem to talk about, but one that is very obvious, shot on target, saved by Mazen, is aerial play is all Rule 1. Any old challenge, Vision cannot even get to the ball. Oh, you're kidding me. Killer saves even that one. Rule 1 are not allowing Vision even a sniff on the net.
It's a lot better. It's a lot better than the first minute, at least. They haven't conceded since that third one went in. And arguably, Vision has looked the more likely to score next in the final minute. But Jam, the point remains, they still haven't scored. In fact, Rule 1 come the closest with just seconds left on the clock. Vision, I hope that this is just a case of slow start syndrome. I hope that it was I hope that they just didn't realize what they turned up to. And, oh, they are going to get a goal. Okay. It's not going to be a clean sheet from Rule 1. That's going to be a slight annoyance, but let's hope that this Vision is what turns up in Game 2, as opposed to the Vision that didn't turn up in the first minute.
I mean, slow to start. Rule 1 never even took a moment to start. Immediately from the very first moment, Killer sets up his own goal past everybody on Vision, and from then on, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. This game has been decided pretty much in the first half, and Vision, while trying to catch up in those in stats in terms of basically saves, they got out of their own half. You could also see that they've mastered 7 shots on target of Rule 1. Yeah. But out of most of them, I can only remember 2. The one that went across the goal line and Killers has to die for, and the goal at the very end. Everything else pretty much has been Rule 1, and it's going to be incredibly tough for them to create anything. Yes, a little bit of a pause right here is going to benefit them, but Rule 1 are once again trying to do what they did to Vision last time these two teams met. Reminder, that was a sweep by Rule 1.
It was indeed, and it's worth mentioning as well that Vision didn't score until Game 3 in that situation. So in a very weird and almost like Alice in Wonderland whimsical style way, we can say that they've started better than that series. Sure, they conceded more, but really that final minute and a half or so, that was all Vision, maybe barring that one Rule 1 opportunity. It's a hard game to read, especially given that all 3 of Rule 1's goals, feel free to disagree with me if you like, Jam, all 3 of Rule 1's goals were of Vision's own making. They didn't particularly put up a strong defense to stop those goals from going in. So I think that honestly, that is a very anomalous result. I hope to see better from Vision. I'm sure we will see better from Rule 1, no doubt.
I mean, Vision, again, these names just bring back so many classic moments, I suppose, from Middle East region. Battle Senzo, SMW. Senzo, someone, they are the OG Falcons. Let's not forget that Turk with them as well.
Yeah.
It has been ages since this team has been together, at least in some combination, one or the other. But look at what Rule 1 does. It feels like with every single thing on the field, be it possession of the ball, touch, positioning even, they're just not 1, 2 steps ahead of their opposition. And Killers once again proves that as he collects that rebound and puts it on target, no problem.
It's a nice bit of work from Kalirs. SNW caught in no man's land and almost caught out again there, this time by Mosen. That's on target. SNW forced to go up and around. Senzo can only punt it away slightly. Roas over Senzo, looking at SNW right in front of him, doesn't care, looking for the bump, lingering in front of net, and Basil can only go sideways. The seal on the way out for Roas. Here's Kalirs waiting for Roas, but finally, I should say, a misplay from Rule 1. But even then, Vision can't capitalize. Here's Kalirs going towards net, an errant touch away, and that's what makes the save.
More and more shots. Rule 1, their game plan had not changed. There wasn't a single fall to how Rule 1 played in the first game, and I think this strategy just continues on for them. Right now, Ooh, a bit dangerous, but even that, a unfortunate bounce off the one of the Rule 1 players doesn't go in the net, it goes high up. Basil cannot grab onto the ball, and Killers right now collects the boost from the corner, will be setting himself up, or maybe even his teammate. Wastes so much time, so much space. No immediate control. Vision Gaming, though, throwing 2 up ahead. There's already a little bit of urgency to their players. They're trying to be there faster to the ball, and that is incredibly tough because Rule 1, as I said, they seem to be 2 steps ahead of their opposition in speed game as well. But at the very least, it is still within the realm of possibility. The score difference is just 1 goal.
And that 1 goal might be the difference between at least an overtime and Rule 1 running away with a second game win. Here's Mosen straight on net. SMW goes sideways, picks up the 100 boost, and downfield we've got a demo on Roas. Mosen's taken out SMW down the other side, however, and Vision, their options limited. They put on their glasses. They can't see a way out as of yet. Here's Basil looking in field. No, stopped at the near post by Kalir. Senzo. Easy enough for Mosen, just stopped it straight. Here's Kalir's 1v1, able to bait out SMW, but SMW gets a piece of the ball. Low on boost is Kalir's, tries to wave dash there, dealing with it on Vision, well enough on Vision, but here's Rule 1 once again, reloading that barrel. Here's Basil, straight to Mosen, loving this anticipation from Rule 1 in the midfield. SMW, a light touch, a wonderful second touch. Here's Senzo, shot opportunity. Oh, it's too complicated, just put it on target.
He was finally 1v1. I would pretty much say Vision had 3 in a row. Rule 1 had the last defender, and yet, nothing gets past Rule 1's defense. It is just looking almost unfair. A lot of confusion. Killers swept to the side, which already was on his back. Somebody in the air. I believe Mazen must be that player. And back in the defense, Vision, they have spent majority of this series on their blue side of the field, and it always looks as if it's almost impossible for them to get out. There was another long clear. This time aerial play works, but look at that Basil again late. Killers, I'm pretty sure he has actually 0 in his tank, but please support on the ground. Mazen and the rest of Rule 1 is going to set up in the midfield again, is going to receive anything that Vision is throwing at them. So Vision pretty much almost are forced to play this possessive playstyle, dribbling, keeping the ball close to themselves.
Molecule of boost in the tank Killers on every play to try and relieve the pressure. Credit to Vision. They're creating that pressure in the first place, but that pressure has been released on Rule 1. It's a runaway ball. It's a miss on the backboard, and Basil does really well to clean this one up. Roas over Senzo. Sold himself a little short there. SMW's on hand. Mosen, the chip up to Kalirs, was a little bit heavy for Kalirs. Looking for the flip reset. It's beautiful. Basil, great read. Mosen with the shot on target. A solo standard special. A triple commit. 60 seconds left, but still a 1-goal game.
Hey, Finner needs to post something on Twitter. He needs some sort of content. So a trip. Oh, how about this? How about this? Too high. And Mazen is already there and blocks it. Rule 1 are refusing to let anything in their net. Even still have the boost to maybe start up something. Vision, 2 players, but they are only can block the ball, and still possession is with Rule 1 flick. Basil, oh, he's all alone. Thankfully, he makes the save. But who has the ball again? Killers. Senzo is forced to go on the back bar. Killers just has an angle. Immediately from that spot, he has an angle. Running start. Lovely bit of play, and Rule 1, after swatting away everything that Vision's thrown at them, also put a little bit of a dagger in the back of Vision's.
That's so underrated by Kalirs. I know that Senzo's got the right idea in mind, but unfortunately, Kalirs has offered himself as a shield onto that ball because Senzo's in 2 minds. He wants to get the ball cleanly, ends up picking up a little bit of the car, but also not enough to bump him out of the way. That indecision at the end of the day is what sees Rule 1 with a 2-0 lead and barely any time left on the clock. Basil, it's too much of a chip there. Kalirs, the transition through Roas, and gotta say, Rule 1 have weathered a very difficult storm here. Vision looking a lot better despite the lack of goals, Jam. But Rule 1, they head on to a 2-0 scoreline in the game, a 2-0 scoreline in the series, and they continue their march towards what they'll certainly be hoping will be another 4-0 sweep against this Vision squad.
That will be very easy and comfortable for him. Kira just brings another one. Last time it was Vision putting one in just no man's time. This time, Rule 1 just adds insult to the injury. Look at that. Look at the beauty of this setup. Theoretically, didn't even need that, but hey, it works out. He needed a bit of power to get the chance. So that brings it in. Is there any improvement? I feel like this has been better from Vision, yet that does not help. Whatever they brought, whatever Vision has brought in terms of improvement in this game, Rule 1 hasn't lost an ounce of what they have been showing in game number 1, and it just continues to be the same thing. Killers is on the top. He has been throughout the whole tournament, and he is showing exactly what his form is in this series. Just goal after goal after goal. 2 goals in the previous one, 3 goals in this one. He is unstoppable, and I'm pretty sure even if he gets shut down, oh, there's Ruaz, there's Maz, and everybody on Rule 1 can step up.
It's a sad fact for Vision that although the all-round performance has improved, their shot counter has actually diminished. I'd say they have better quality chances, just couldn't put them away. Meanwhile, Rule 1, despite taking much longer to get their 3 goals on the board, ended up having more shots on target than game number 1. It's a funny game, is Rocket League, and ultimately it does come down to sometimes just having your shooting boots on and going for it. It's why we look at shooting percentage, conversion rate as such an important statistic, because you can have 10 shots on target, not score a single one. Your opposition can have 1 shot on target and able to manage to score it. That scoreline is going to be just as deserved as if it had been flipped the other way around, Jam.
Well, defense for Vision Esports has definitely improved, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the topics for conversation, as Vision are taking a timeout, again, as the new fashion has gone all around the regions. It's after game 2, the second loss, so most of the teams are currently taking it, because quite often after the third game, after your opponent's on the match point, you just don't have enough momentum to break the series. So a lot of the teams are now taking it after game number 2, and I think that's a good thing. So for Vision, again, improvement was clearly seen. Again, I feel like they have not been making so many mistakes in the defense. As you mentioned, Relic, in the first game, a lot of the goals by Rule 1 were Vision Esports doing. This time, it has been cleaner. It just was not clean enough, and lack of offensive output obviously have brought them down. Again, you said it took Rule 1 longer to score their almost expected 3 goals. So every single team that plays versus them almost needs to come into this one thinking, we need to score at least 4 or somehow stop them from scoring 3.
I can't help but feel that Vision have pulled the trigger on their tactical timeout a little too early, because yes, they didn't score, but I think we're all in agreement that that was a much better performance and almost a kick-off goal right from the rip. Basil managing to work a really good save out of Roas there, who continues his excellent transitional work. That said, here's Basil once again. He's got some pep in his step, hasn't he? What has he eaten in the tactical timeout? Has he eaten some Kellogg's Krispies? Maybe. Here's Roas moving forward. No, he's not able to save this one away. Khalir's trying to relieve the pressure. Vision looking for that early goal, but once again unable to find it. Basil again with the Fennec, looking for the flip reset, and Mosen says no.
No, how about this? Someone...
Oh, it's an OTL!
I thought someone fell off the ball. He didn't get the touch that he was looking for, but he had the time in the air. And then Killers, rough for Killers. First opener for Vision Gaming in this, Vision Esports rather, in this series. And what a way to do it. Everybody in the chat is just going to say, we'll take this. We'll take this.
Basel is not the seasoning that he was perhaps hoping for, but it's certainly the seasoning that he will take in for himself. It's a 1-goal lead. It's exactly what this proactive start was hoping to achieve, and you can see there taking a real spearhead role straight from the off. A bit of miscommunication here from Senzo. Not that that's going to matter. That 1-goal lead holds into the next minute or so. His Rule 1 moving forward now through Roas. Picks up that midfield boost, picks up the second boost. Lovely handoff, and that shot is high. For once, Rule 1 not finding their mark. Khalir's now. The drop down again is too high. Senzo in the way. Khalir's too wide this time.
They're trying to push. Oh, God. They're trying to push. They want something out of this. And Rule 1 as a hunted rather than the hunter is an interesting thing. For Vision, though, they cannot let go the foot off the pedal. It's impossible. The moment they slow down, Rule 1 is just going to start running laps around them. And right now, Mazen tries to do everything himself, almost succeed. Kills already was running up. And Rule 1 just find one slipping past the defense in the smallest of the gaps as Vision were rotating on through. Senzo perhaps trying to find something. He tries to cut the angle down in case the ball goes to the middle of the field, and he lets the ball run behind him.
You don't get a full story there either, because SMW looked like he was going for the rear right boost, and instead it appeared that he was more coming from the mid boost trajectory. But either way it works, that's a real shame. And another defensive miscommunication from Vision sees that goal lead eradicated. Back to equal sittings here, 1 apiece. But Rule 1 most certainly looking the more dangerous once again, moving forward with purpose. Stopped by Senzo, here's Killers. Up, sideways, Mosin back infield. Look for Roas who gets a piece of it, but the defense doing their due duty. Senzo meeting up to Killers. That's a neutral challenge going to the far side of the pitch. Basil. Nice work here in front of Killers, and there's SMW. Oh, not able to figure out Roas, however. Senzo. Killers, it's a real elongated piece of play here from Rule 1, and it might end in heartbreak. Mosin waiting, again, keeping Vision encroached in their own half. It's like a stranglehold jab, and there it is, the broken neck, Roas 2-1.
I think it was a long time coming. The matter of fact was Vision had to use 2 players on each play. Rule 1 were always able to just return on something, and once again the aerial play just not there. I'm not sure if this lack of the boost, but they just ran out of anything that they could counteract to Rule 1's play, and just not working out well. Killers might now collect something for Ruaz, and look at that, 3 running immediately. Vision has some boost, but Ruaz just tries to finish off himself. Rule 1 not satisfied for 1, immediately pressuring for a second one. Mazen no boost, but he can just bring the ball in, wait for his teammates to return, maybe even find something on the back rotation. Killers tries to read the clear from Basil. Past the 2 players it goes yet again, an unintentional back pass. Ruaz, this could be dangerous. Senzo and someone is running on out, but not to the center. Basil still with some bit of control passes. I'm loving this, but they cannot convert it. Perhaps a little bit too complicated to conjure this play on the fly.
Senzo is trying to play at a pace which he simply is not comfortable with. Slash doesn't have the quality to achieve, at least in game number 3, a couple of times now, where he's been in the right area, but just not at the right address. Bump on the keeper, goal easy as you like. Killers makes it 3, and Vision continuing to sink without much of a trace.
Yeah, we might need another angle as Senzo, no challenge. Someone is forced to return to the net, but yeah, he's just there defending with your back to the ball and looking at the net. You're just driving towards the net. You have no momentum to swing it back. Tough, but we return back to a situation we've seen throughout this series, Relic. 3 goals for Rule 1. A little bit of a different circumstances, and yet they proved that their goals and their shooting boosts are on. They've never left him anywhere, even since the last one. Hamas and Killers. Everybody
nice
on the ground. It's lovely that they're defending, but right now, still with 60 seconds remaining, they need to get out. Nobody gets to that ball, barely to get to something. But look at that, no boost for Vision. All they can do is bring the ball back out to the Rule 1 side, and what happens? An immediate dump straight back to the blue side.
Jam, I think they called their tactical timeout too early. How close was that to a fourth, by the way? Mosin's going to be wanting the ticket back, but I think they called their tactical timeout too early because their performance in game number 2, I think, justified going in another game and seeing what that might bring. Instead, what's happened is they've used their tactical timeout. Rule 1 has just said, okay, sure, doesn't matter, we're just going to win again. That said, we still do have 20 seconds. That is enough time to find 2 goals, but it's got to be found now. And you can see through Mosin, through Killers, it's just so easy to weave their way through the midfield, Jam.
The problem is 9 goals by Rule 1 in this series, 2 goals by Vision. One of them scored in really at 0 seconds in the match that already has been won for Rule 1. The second one, an own goal. Okay, make that 10 for Rule 1, as the end of the game seems to be always wanting for a goal. Set up by Ruaz, dropped down by Mazen. I mean, Vision already know that they cannot get anything out of this game, but it still stings. It still leaves a mark on you coming in what could be the last game of the series. Rule 1, somewhat expectedly perhaps. I would love to see a different outcome, but Rule 1 very expectedly already on match point in this first series.
Rule 1, they've already been a cooking, and that's exactly what they brought to the table here. A Salt Bay pinch to finish things off. A 4-1 scoreline. That is absolutely how you should read it on the tin. The contents don't really say much different. Vision with an excellent start to the game, Jam. Early 30 seconds, super strong, finding that go-ahead goal, and then just wilting under this Rule 1 pressure.
There's impossible for Vision Gaming to win this on scoring ones and then defense over. The parking the bus versus Rule 1 does not work. Rule 1 has the keys to set bus, and then they bring bus removal services. I'm not sure where I'm going with that analogy. Most importantly, goal output for Rule 1 either needs to be nipped at the bud, or you somehow need to outscore them. Again, last time we thought this Rule 1 is going to sweep absolutely everybody. Right now it looks that this Rule 1 can sweep absolutely everybody. I'm going to wait what the Grand Final is going to have first, because Team Falcons, pretty sure they want to appear in the Grand Finals again. Twisted Minds might have something to say about it. It's going to be so interesting, whoever we see in the Grand Finals. But for now, Match Point Rule 1, Vision Esports, 4 on the bounce is what's required of them, and no timeout anymore. Really nothing to really cling to. Somehow they are David versus a Goliath, and Goliath shows no signs of stopping.
No. And quite rightly as well. I would actually argue that Rule 1 looking a lot better at this moment in time as opposed to 2 weeks ago. Of course, Mosen, still a pretty recent roster change, but Mosen looking a lot more connected to the two brothers in Roas and Kalirs now than I think that we've ever seen. And that's great. That's great news if you're a Rule 1 fan. What would be even better news is if you can find yourselves an early goal, and that's most certainly what they're aiming for here as we head to Utopia Coliseum. The transition finally arrives here from Vision, but again, they give it up so easily. It's a clear, it's on target. S&W is a double commit. It's absolutely heartbreaking to see such a talented Rocket League team being made to look like fools.
I'm not sure if this was needed. I'm pretty sure Senzo had that on his rotation, and yet bringing everybody out of the way. Perhaps a call was made, like, I'm not sure if I can get to that ball. Please help me out. Please do something. Someone is forced to immediately go back to the net. No, I wouldn't say no good shot from Killers, but Killers collects the rebound from someone and almost threatens with 0 boost. Not enough power on the shot, but even out of this, almost a nothing moment, Rule 1 are managing to create a lot of danger. Doesn't help that really nothing. Rule 1 never has too few players in the back. It's Vision always cut off with 1 touch, and all of a sudden 2 players are out of the picture. Rule 1 always have someone in the back, or fairly Vision cannot throw it. Setup was great. It's just a cleanup that's needed on the goal line, and still they managed to work it out. Basil with the ball now. Vision somehow surviving that situation, but now with almost nothing, they have to move out. Okay, that's past 1. Senzo can continue going on for it. That backboard defense, so solid from Rule 1.
S&W, that's a sweaty save. And that might be a series-winning save, but the business has to be done down the other side of the pitch as well. Basil, certainly the most likely to score for Vision, was looking really handsome in that last game, but switched back onto the Octane. I don't know why, when he was looking so happy on the Fenix, looking really up for it. Senzo around the corner, only finds Roas, runs out of boost in the meantime. Basil has S&W in support, picks up the play. Mosen, that's underneath him, trying to go underneath Kalirs as well. Senzo back out to Basel through the corner. Nice second touch here, forces Mosen up, uses a little bit of boost, but in a really safe pocket here and able to maneuver his way out pretty successfully.
No 3 goals from Rule 1 just yet. What is happening? Well, what's happening is we only passed 2 minutes of play. Attempts from bumps. Really? Is the net just bigger in practice modes? Because Vision are trying to find a shot and yet not succeeding. This is open.
There you go.
Even in this situation, even the open nets being the hardest thing in the world, Sendo spends no extra time converting it. Mazen, try as he might, drops down to his opposition. Vision Gaming, a tie at this point. Honestly, that's as much as they can want from this series, and now to build on from this point.
It would be a start. What comes after that, I don't know. But for Vision's sake, I hope that even if this is to be a sweep, it'll be a sweep in grace, and a sweep which does show the quality that this long-time squad most certainly does possess. It's a 1v1 though. You never want to go 1v1 versus Killers. Basil not able to read past Mosen here. A much-needed touch. Senzo towards the net. Basil covering the crossbar here, but that was never on target in the first place. S&W stops it at the midfield line. Mosen too strong at the midfield line. Kalirs with a demo, a double demo. Here's Roas underneath 1. It's Mosen. It's a tap-in. No, it's not, because late to the day, S&W once again on hand.
Unbelievable. Vision Gaming down 2 players and yet still managed to make the save. Well, if this is how they're going to be living from this point on, this could be it. Senzo, how on earth? There was so many cars in his way, so many cars contesting for that ball. There's Ruaz, Battle originally coming for that one, wasn't somehow not getting it on through. I am surprised that Vision Gaming managed to get anything out of that play, but that's another lead, a fake lead. A time is still not their friend. And off the kickoff, Goal One have won so many of these, I was worried that something bad might happen immediately, but they somehow persevere. Might be living on borrowed time. Ravage is doing their absolute best. Vision Gaming leading in a game that they absolutely have to win.
Couple of layers here. Were Vision lucky? Yes, Roas with an errant touch. Mosen, that was a rare mistake from him, but Senzo, great quality to throw it underneath him. And let's not forget at this moment in time, it's the first. It's the first time that Vision have scored 2 goals in a game jam. It doesn't matter. Rule One have scored 2 goals in every game of this series.
That's a rough statistic to go up against. And Rule One, when they see that they have not outshot their opposition, they decide that the best rule to go about is to remove their opposition. Every single time somebody's hunting for one of Vision's defenders, and it's always opening up that defense. Pass to the middle, Hazel needs to be just a little bit faster than that. Killers, look at how deep he already is, and even with Vision players returning, he still collects that ball. 3 versus 1, how about shot straight on target? This needed to be on the left corner. Right was covered by Rule 1 players already. There's definitely urgency, and Vision Gaming are showing their ideas right now. Senzo first to the air. Not blocked by anybody, but this handoff to Basil is not good enough.
Loose for a brief moment before Rule 1 pounce. Roas taking it sideways, no second touch for him. Basel keeping it close to the chest. SMW, that is not a favorable pinch. It's not a favorable pitch at all. Off his own backboard, playing with fire. Senzo gets the job done. Mosen with the drop down. Again, a player in his way. Moving out, leaving it to Kaliers. Crossfield pass, on shot on target. Basil away. Kaliers now, too quick to the ball for Senzo. SMW all on his own. It's 2v1. It's off the crossbar. Senzo away to the side. Clutch from the captain. Senzo utilizing all of his experience to drag an overtime out of this game. Senzo up again, and it's not going to go to overtime until that ball hits the floor. Watch out, folks, we could be in for a long one here. Basel wanted to spike it anyway. I don't blame them. Overtime here. Vision series on the line.
Straight off the kickoff, someone will get the boost, will actually start the attack himself as well. Carefully moving on through. He gets just dispossessed. Not the ball is not removed from him, he is removed from the ball. And thus the Vision attack breaks down Killers. Grabs as much of 100 as he possibly can. With that 100, immediately returns back, bumps out someone out of the way, miss on the ball. Ruas can now go someone, and Senzo in an incredibly tough position, but to the side the ball it goes. This is the best position that they can find out of that one, and immediately out of that they need to find as many touches as possible, because Rule 1 will bring the player out. Here and there, Vision Gaming with the demos in tow try to bring the ball back to Rule 1's net. It's a tough game.
Basil's beginning to panic, a lot of mistakes all the while. SMW and Senzo continuing to work well together. They stride up the pitch, but they're not able to get a shot away. Roas, and here's Basel taken out. Senzo up, looking for a handoff to SMW, not going to reach him. There's Mosen up early once again. Senzo able to stop Kaliers, but it falls cut into Roas, and Basel once again sells himself short. There's SMW clean up on Isle Utopia Coliseum, just about getting the job done to save down the other end for Kaliers. Box to box midfielder as you like. Mosen, the way out through Kaliers on the counter attack once again. SMW a mere roadblock in the road. Here's Basel sideways straight to Kaliers. Look at how spread they are, anticipating every exit route.
Someone on the backboard actually might find the connection. Anybody on the ground, Basil, just a tad too late, can only send it sky high. Denzo, I love the passing plays. I love that every single time they try to move the ball as quickly as possible to the next player, meaning that there's always danger and shots coming through. That should be off. For a second, I was not sure. Look at that, Rule 1 coming in. A little bit of bump. This actually might benefit Rule 1, honestly. And yes, the passes are coming on through. Mazen hunting for a player on the goal line. Rule 1 almost had a man advantage in the penalty area. Mazen removed on the ground. Ruaz needs to just play it to the side. Anybody in the center of the field. Rule 1 is going to be faster to that. But look at that, 2 players committing. This could have been yet another situation where Vision would just sneak it underneath Rule 1 players. Long clear. Can they get anything out of that? If only just a time for them to replenish the boost.
Vision Esports, they're on live support, but is there going to be a pulse for much longer? Senzo looking forward, no second touch. SMW again pops it up. By this time, Rule 1 back in place to defend. Roas doesn't get it away. Basel infield, too much there for SMW. Kaliers looking for that midfield boost, he gets it. Waylays the ball, however, possession to the blue side, but not for too much longer. Kaliers up. manages to bait out 2 here. SNW's got to be careful. Great work from Senzo. Waits his turn, and finally finds a way through Senzo onto the backboard, but there's Mosin.
No, that's backboard. Rule 1 have made it very clear the backboard is their property and they're not allowing anything to happen on it. I'm pretty sure we haven't seen a single goal for Vision that was played off the backboard and then into the net. It was all on the ground, maybe skying up high in front of the net, but never off the backboard. So almost that playstyle almost needs to be removed right now. But the question is, what else do they have? Incredibly dangerous, even in their own defense when Vision are forced to commit to.
No.
Oh, that's a problem. Thankfully, there was somebody in the back, but no, nobody on the backboard, and that is what all she wrote.
There's the flat line, and you can't say it wasn't coming. Too many mistakes from Vision Esports. We go back to
Just
that
crushed
one.
net.
Yeah, we go back to that Craftman question. Has the MENA region somewhat gone backwards? This doesn't look any different from the MENA region that we were commentating on 2-3 years ago. Perhaps they've got 2 great teams now in Rule 1 and Falcons, but Vision Esports, sadly, despite a great performance contextually, just still not good enough, Jam.
I'm looking at these stats. Someone 6 saves, 800 score, and you think any old day this might be the MVP of the game. Killers, another hat trick. He was just conjuring them out of not of thin air. Obviously, it's his talent and support of his team, but he has been on top-notch form. By this point, he absolutely must be the top scorer of the tournament so far, and everybody better beware. I'm just worried whoever they're gonna play against, if it's Falcons again. Last time, even after this kind of performance, Relic, Falcons completely shut out Rule 1, and I don't know how. I throw my hands up in the air and I admit it. I cannot understand how Rule 1 can go from this, a complete another domination, to being almost invisible on the field. Last time in the grand finals, Falcons and Rule 1. Rule 1 didn't just play really hard, but then lost to an even harder playing team. They just disappeared off the field, and that is so wild to me.
It's a bit of stage fright, but again, I don't think we have much need to be fearful this time around. Mosin playing a lot more of a complete series and getting a lot more involved with the plays than what we saw 2 weeks ago. And lovely to see Clears, I think, accepting that when the time comes, he's going to be the goal scorer. Roas can be the creator. I'd rather that than a bit of the mismatching roles that they decided to assign to themselves, again, a couple of weeks ago when sadly they were dismantled by the Falcons. However, in order to face the Falcons again, Jam, the Falcons have got themselves a semi-final to get through as well. Don't get it twisted. The Mines are going up against the Soaring Falcons. Digital Bacon and Psycho is going to be taking you through that one, and they'll be seeing you then after this.
Welcome back, folks. It's myself, Digital Bacon, joined this one by Psycho. Psycho, just quickly, how are you doing? Let's just get niceties out of the way, buddy.
Yeah, I'm doing fantastically, Bacon. It's a great day to be covering this region. It's great to be alongside you again for the second time in my life of casting. It's been short-lived, but it's been fun alongside you so far, Bacon, so I'm looking forward to this one.
I'm looking forward to it as well, because this is going to be a fun one, of course. It is Falcons versus Twisted Minds, folks. And, well, this is a matchup we've only seen 4 times in the past, and it has kind of been heavily one-sided. But, I mean, you could say the same about many teams up against Falcons, couldn't you, Psycho?
Yeah, absolutely. Team Falcons are just a team that needs absolutely no introduction at this point. They've taken 3 of the regional events across the fall and the winter splits altogether. They only lost 1, and that was to Rule 1 in the fall open. So they are pretty much an unstoppable force at the moment. And also, this side of Twisted Minds, we haven't seen too many matchups from them against this side. So it's a difficult one to call, but I think we know how most of the people will be predicting this one, Bacon.
Yeah, so last time these two teams faced up against each other, it was back in the Fall Cup. That's the second regional of the last split. Both of them going heavily in favor of Falcons. I say heavily in favor, but realistically, when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, like you look at a 4-1 in favor of Falcons, right? You think, oh, that's a pretty easy series. But we're talking 1-0, 4-1, 2-1, losing 2-3, and then winning 2-0. For Falcons, low-scoring games, I mean, that's pretty uncharacteristic, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And this Falcons side, I think at the moment, just based on how they're playing overall, we will sort of attribute this team as being a more defensive side in the grand scheme of things, especially when you compare them against the likes of Rule 1. We saw how volatile they can be in that previous series, but not particularly taking things convincingly, but sort of in a way that Relic mentioned earlier, sort of more of a boring fashion, almost Team Secret-esque in how they go about their winnings.
And that's not too bad. But so coming into this, we've just seen Falcons come off the back of a pretty naff major, all things considered. Even with those stacked North American teams, I would still put Falcons above them previously before the major, right? They should have been a shoo-in to make top 8, but only being able to take a win of James Cheese, who realistically are a growing team. You know, they were 3 players. I know I'm the APAC boy, but you know, all things considered, Elevate now, we're a team like coming together more for fun, and it's going to be the winter major where we'll see them really elevate if they can make it back to the winter major, of course. But here in MENA, this is the time when Falcons have to go, okay, that was a one-off. We need to get back to that summer form. And I think it's just more a case of they're not changing with the times. The meta in Rocket League is changing, right? And they're still kind of stuck in the ways of summer.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair to say, and I think it is just that new aggressive style of play that we're seeing a lot of teams come out with, and especially with the likes of Falcons, I don't think their play style has shifted at all in years, and years of dominance in this region has been enough to push them through to sort of those World Championship settings. But at the end of the day, if they are to compete with some of the best in the best of the world, they need to be taking things more convincingly, even though they still are to this day arguably the titans of the